folks, today I'm going to be making a straightforward lemon cider. So here are my key ingredients. Well, it's a cider, so I'm using apple juice from concentrate, which contains just apple juice from concentrate. This is the Turbo Cider method. Check out the Facebook group Turbo Ciders for All. To get my lemon flavour in there, I'm using this Honest Organic Lemonade, or Honest Organic Lemonade, as I should say. So this is sparkling lemonade with 10% organic lemon juice. Now, if I look at the ingredients list, carbonated water, organic lemon juice from concentrate, organic invert sugar syrup, natural lemon lime flavourings, antioxidant, ascorbic acid, and that's it. I can't see anything harmful in there whatsoever, so I think that this should work just fine. However, this is sparkling, so I'm going to have to take the sparkle out. I'll show you how shortly. I've got 250 grams of brewing sugar, dextrose monohydrate, just to up the ABV slightly of the final product. My yeast of choice today is, well, it's anybody's guess. It's meant to be 71B, that's what I ordered. This is what came. So it's the Chinese equivalent from Angel, whoever they are, of 71B. I've been using it for the past week, so hopefully it's not going to kill anything. I've got a couple of tea bags to impart some tannins. I'm going to be using a little bit of yeast nutrient from Young's, and I'm going to add a little bit of pectolase, and this might be a waste of time, but because this does contain lemon juice and because I'm going to actually bring it to the boil, spoiler alert, that might cause haziness which doesn't go away, so I'm hoping that this will actually help this to clear. So as I've just given the game away, yes, this is going to be boiled to get rid of the carbonation. Now, I don't actually know if it would hurt to shove it in as a fizzy drink into the demijohn with the apple juice and the other ingredients or not, but I feel like I need to get the fizz out of it for some reason. Somebody in the comments tell me, do I need to do this or not? Because if I don't, then I could skip this stage. But anyway, it's going into the pan. When you boil a fizzy drink, it basically kills the bubbles. Now, I didn't see any nasty additives in that ingredients list, so the other reason that you might boil something like this would be to kill off preservatives, but I didn't really see any in there. So this one goes in now. So this stuff, by the way, was 10 pence a can from Barry's Bargain Superstore in Concert, and I've had it here for about 6 months. So the last time I made lemon cider, you might remember if you watch my films, I made it with something called limo pane. Limo pane, no, let's not go down that road, it's done, right, it's done. But the limo pane was also from Barry's Bargains, and that made a really zesty lemony cider. I'm kind of hoping that this will have a similar impact, because when you drink this stuff, my God, it turns your mouth inside out. It's really, really, really lemony. Too lemony, actually, so I think it'll be nicer in a cider than it is as a drink in its own right. So there's the lemonade in the pan. I'm now going to turn the gas on and the heat. Right, I want this to come to a boil. I'll come back to you when it's boiling. Okay, the lemon pop is boiling, so I'm now going to pop in my 2 tea bags. So the tea bags are just standard English breakfast tea bags, but the tannins that they'll release will give the cider a bit more body and mouthfeel and a bit of that cider bite. You normally get tannins in the skin of the fruit, but obviously because I'm using apple juice from concentrate, there is no skin. So this just adds that little bit of extra va-va-voom into the cider. So I'm just going to let this simmer now for a couple of minutes, and then I'll take the tea bags out. Well, I think we can say that that's done. So I'm going to turn the heat completely off now, and I'm going to use a slotted spoon to remove the tea bags, and then using the back of a dessert spoon, I'm just going to push onto that to squeeze the tea bags and to squeeze the tannins out of them, get all that flavour that I can. And the tea bags will now go to compost. So you can see that the lemon pop with the tea bags has now taken on the colour of tea completely. It doesn't look anything like it did before. I'm going to put it onto a cool ring, and I'm now going to pour in the brewing sugar, and I'm not going to boil this or anything like that because the brewing sugar dissolves dead easily. It's really thin, and I'm just going to leave that in there to dissolve, and I want this to cool down now before I move on to the next stage. So I'm just going to leave this on the ring. I'm going to cover it with a mesh to keep any airborne contaminants out, and I'll carry on with the brew in about 2 hours time, so catch you then. Hey folks, a couple of hours have passed and now it's time to get on with the brew. Today's fermentation vessel of choice is the good old 1 gallon, 4.54 litre demijohn, the warhorse. This is now washed and sterilised, and I'm going to start by adding my apple juice. So this is the recipe proper now. So I'm just going to squeeze this in. And just while I'm doing that, may I ask you, have you subscribed to my YouTube page yet? If you haven't, please do so. It would be hugely appreciated. Thank you very much. So that's litre number 1 gone in, and litre number 2 is going in right now. And then when I've added these 2 in, we'll have a look at the sweet lemon tea. So that's 2 in, and the demijohn is just under half full. Sweet lemon tea time. So this is absolutely room temperature now, cold. It's not got any warmth to it at all. It just smells like tea, really. I can't really smell the lemoniness. Actually, I can, a very, very slight hint, but I know that the flavour should still be there. So I'm going to now tip this in. And it does look syrupy, and that's because of the sugar that's in there. So here's my next litre of apple juice. I'm just going to pour a little bit into the pan, just in case there's any residual in there. I don't want to lose any goodness. So I'll just let that swishel around. Okay, and now in that goes. And carry on. Now I've got a bit too much headspace. I've miscalculated here. Do I open up another litre of apple juice, knowing that I won't use it all? Or do I add spring water and dilute the flavour? I think I'll go with the apple juice because I can always start another cider off tomorrow. Back in a sec. So here is litre number 4. Yeah, I don't know how I managed to miscalculate that. I must have thought that the cans had more in them than what they did. But it's not a problem. I shall probably use half of the litre here. Yeah, that's enough. So I've filled the demijohn, but I'm not worried about it going a bit crazy, because if it does, it does. It's fine. Right. I am going to take some out anyway to measure the original gravity, and I won't put that back in. So next I'm just going to give this a bit of a mix around. Just want to make sure that all the liquids that are in there have mixed together. I'm pretty sure they will have, because it went in with some gusto. I like that word, gusto. I think it's Italian. Sounds Italian, doesn't it? Right, okie dokie. So, original gravity time. So what I pour into this tube will not go back into the demijohn, so that will create a little bit more space in the top for the Clausen. So we're going from an Italian word gusto to a German word Krausen, which I think means cloud, something like that, I think. Somebody will tell me in the comments, I'm quite sure. Right, let's find out what the original gravity of this cider must is. I am starting off on an original gravity of 1.064, 1064. So by my reckoning, I reckon that this cider should finish around about 8.5% or thereabouts. Anyway, chin chin, let's see what it tastes like. Oh, the lemoniness is there. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's really lemony, actually. I think it tastes just fine, actually. The lemon drink is a lot more drinkable when diluted with apple juice than what it is on its own in the can. That's definite. Okay, on to my dry ingredients. So first of all, let's have a generous heaped teaspoonful of pectolase, which may be a waste of time. Doesn't matter, it won't hurt it. I'm going to follow that with a generous heaped teaspoonful of yeast nutrient. I'll take the funnel out for the next bit. So in an unmeasured quantity, I kind of know when I know, I'm just going to pour this in. This is the yeast. I sort of know what it should look like on top. I think we're good. How much is left? Oh, there's enough for one more brew in there. So I'm just going to give this a little agitation. I'm just trying to remove any bits of yeast which are stuck around the edges. Next, in goes the airlock. It's my bendy airlock. Cheap plastic airlock in a dishwasher on hot. Didn't end well, but it still functions. Right, I'm just going to have a little bit of a tidy, then I'll come back to you. Right, I've had a little tidy. I've labelled the demijohn. Just waiting for fermentation to begin now. So I'll come back to you with an update once I start to see bubbles in the airlock and I know that fermentation's happening. Okay, catch you later, folks. Right, I'm back in the kitchen. It's 7 hours later and oh, what have we got here? That's a Krausen. Yep, fermentation is happening. It's not fast, it's not furious, but the airlock every now and again is going to oblige me with a bubble. There we go, thank you very much. So yeah, it's happening. It's not fast and furious, but it's definitely doing something. I will give you an update again, maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after, let's see. And just the next day update. We've got a dirty looking Krausen on top. Fermentation is definitely underway. The airlock is getting a bubble through about every 15 seconds, something like that. So I'll come back to you in a couple of days' time to see what happens when we get to the crazy stage. Okay, it's a couple of days later. It's got a nice lemony colour. The dirty Krausen's gone to be replaced by some white bubbles, and the airlock is fast and very furious now. It really is going like a train. So a further 3 days later, and this is going very rapidly, but it's going very well. There's no sign of it developing a horrible big Krausen that's going to come out of the airlock, so I'm fairly happy with this, and I think I'm just going to put this away now. So the next film that you see from me will likely be bottling, probably in about a month's time. Catch you then. Good afternoon from the kitchen, folks. It's my lemon cider bottling day. It's been fermenting in the demijohn for a month, and now it's ready to go into the bottles. There it is. You can see that it's lovely and clear. You can see all the way through it. It fermented for probably 2.5 weeks, and then for the past week and a half I've just left it to do its own thing, and it's settled nicely. So I've got my bottles in the sink, which I'm ready to prime with some sugar. I've got my bungs softening in very hot water to make them malleable to get them into the bottles. So let's crack on. Right, let's get my bendy airlock out. Siphoning tube goes in. It's held in place with this very useful clip. The bottom of the tube is just into the sediment line, literally just kissing the top of it. The first bit that comes out of the tube will be milky, but that will go into the hydrometer flask. So before I begin siphoning, I'm just going to put the sugar into the bottle. So I've got 6 750ml bottles. I'm hoping that I'll be able to fill 6 750ml bottles. If I run short, then I've got a sanitised beer bottle in reserve, which I'll use instead. In each of these 750ml bottles, I'm going to put this much priming sugar in, which represents 1.5 teaspoons. The priming sugar will cause a very fractional secondary fermentation in the bottle. That secondary fermentation will release CO2. Pressure will build up in the bottle, and that is what will give my cider a sparkle. Fingers crossed. Right, let's get busy with the fizzy. So the first bit that's come out is milky, and it's cleared straight away, and now I'm into the bottles. So yeah, that looks like a sample on a bad day, doesn't it? But that's fine, that for taking the gravity from. So it's coming through nice and clear. It looks really good in the demijohn. It looks nice in the pipe. I'm happy enough with this. First bottle's just about done, and into the second bottle. It's reacting nicely to the priming sugar. There's a good bit of sparkle going on already, which is a good sign. And it's coming out fast and furious. So all good in the hood. Yeah, so it's all good, or as the Germans would say, alles klar. I think I've got a good chance of getting 6 bottles here. Final bottle. Will I or won't I? Is there enough there to fill this bottle? The anticipation mounts. Bubbles in the siphoning tube. Ooh, a wee bit shy in there, but I reckon if I empty this pipe and put what's in the hydrometer jar in there, admittedly that means there'll be some trouble in the bottom of this bottle, but I think that might do it. Let's see. So I'd better take the final gravity of this brew. It started on 1.064. No, it's ended on 1.000 exactly. I thought it was going to go lower than that, but no, 1.000. So with my iPhone balanced precariously, let's work out the final ABV. So I take the original gravity of 1.064. I deduct from that the final gravity of 1.000, which equals 0.064. And then I multiply this by 131.25, which equals a final alcohol by volume of 8.4%. Happy days! So I'm just going to tip this into this bottle. Like I said, this will be the cloudy bottle now, but I can live with that. At least I know with this being the stubbiest of the bottles that it's the cloudy one, and this is just going to fill it nicely, so that's good. Okay, now I need to bung and cage my bottles. As I mentioned before, my bungs are in very hot water. I'll fish one out and burn my fingers. Ow. As so. It keeps them clean and it makes them easier to push into the bottles because they're a bit softer. In it goes, and that's in nicely. Okay, so what I want to do now is add a cage. Here's a cage. So the bungs I buy online and I keep reusing them. The cages are donated from people and also bought online. The cage tightens around the bung to hold it in place under the lip on the neck of the bottle. When the secondary fermentation takes place in here to create CO2, pressure builds up. Without the cage, the bung flies off, so the cage is essential, okay? And for your info also, the bottles are all recycled too. Okay, you don't need to watch me do that another 5 times. I'll be back to you when I've done them all. Right, all the bottles are bunged and caged. I'm just going to give them a little shower to get the sticky residue off the outside. There we go, nice and clean. I'll leave these to dry off. It's time to make the labels. Okay, I've got my labels made up in a simple Microsoft Word template. Let's print them out. So here's my bottles dried off. Let's get the labels on them. It's just nice to make your bottles look a bit nice, isn't it? And there they are. And just in case anyone's interested, the Turbo yeast that's left in the bottom, I'm going to have a go at baking bread with it to see if that actually works. I'll put that in a different film, so keep an eye out for it. Hey from the conservatory, which is a nice and warm south-facing room. Even on a cloudy day like today, I've got a bit of a dab on. But as you can see, it's basically a greenhouse, and this is where my lemon cider is going to condition for the next month. Now I've got it under this table so it's out of direct sunlight, and I'm just going to close it in with this heater. The heater isn't turned on, it's just there to keep the sunlight off it. And the conditioning process is where the secondary fermentation will take place. The flavour will develop. So the next video that you see from me will be in about a month's time, and that will be opening and tasting. Catch you then. Good evening from the kitchen, folks. It's been a balmy 31 degrees in Leeds today, and I'll tell you something, I am ready for a nice cold cider to sort myself out. I've been making jam and brewing, and honestly I'm ready to sit down and have something nice and refreshing. So hopefully the grand opening night of my lemon cider will live up to this. So this cider has been conditioning in the bottle for 1 month, and I think we have a pressure build up in there. If you look at the bung, you should hopefully see that it's raised by a couple of millimetres, which I'm hopefully, fingers crossed, thinking means there's going to be a sparkle. So what I want is a cider that's got a bit of fizz. I want it to look good in the glass, nice and clear. I want it to have an excellent taste and smell, but above all, I'd love that lemon to come through, so please, please, lemon, come through. Right, let's see what's going to happen. Ah dear, right. Okay, so I'm just getting the cage off. Managed to get that one off in one piece. I reckon I've got one more go with that one. Okay, am I going to get a pop? Yes! And vapour. Woohoo! Oh, I'm always happy when that happens. Right, let's see what it looks like in the glass. Oh yeah, we've got a sparkler. Houston, we've got a sparkler. Yes! Well, actually, let's just appreciate the colour. First of all, there is a lemony yellowness to it, and it's beautifully clear. That is super. Now, let's go back to the smell. I'm getting apple cider. I'm not getting lemon on the smell. Try a taste. It's extremely dry, and I don't just mean a dry cider, I mean a dry cider. The lemon is there, but it's subtle, but I can definitely taste it. If you didn't know it was there, you might think it's some kind of citrus cider, but not be sure. But I know it's lemon and I can taste it. But boy, that is a dry cider. It's certainly not one to be necked. It's one to be savoured and appreciated. What's the ABV? 8.4%. Yeah, you don't want to be necking an 8.4% cider. But you know what? It tastes good. It's a nice, clean flavour, a very clean flavour. And certainly cold on a hot day like this, I'm definitely going to enjoy it. So, wow, it's been a success of sorts. It's not as lemony as I'd liked it to have been, but it's still got a good cider flavour, and I can tell that there's lemon in there. So anyway, folks, cheers, and I'll catch you on the next brew. Lemon pane. Oh, it weren't lemon pane, were it? Oh, no. The film that you've just watched is a Moss Home and Garden production. You can find more by going to www.mosshomeandgarden.co.uk. I'd just like to say thank you very much for supporting my YouTube channel and for watching my films. It really is very much appreciated. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to my YouTube channel in order to receive future updates about the home and garden films which I upload. You can find my YouTube channel by going to www.mosshomeandgarden.co.uk. Please click on the red subscribe button. When you've done that, a little bell will appear. If you press that also, then you'll get future updates about the films which I upload. If you like my films, if you like my style of filming, then you might also like my travel channel, which you will find by going to youtube.com/Stuart Moss or type in www.mosstravel.tv. Again, if you could subscribe to that channel, it would be hugely appreciated. If you'd like to get Moss Home and Garden updates on Facebook, then please open Facebook and do a search for Moss Home and Garden, and you will find the page. If you like the page, then you will get future updates on there. And if you'd like to connect on Instagram for home, garden and travel photography, as well as some stories, then my username is StuMoss, STUMOSS. If you'd like to connect on Twitter, then my username is @StuartMoss. And if you'd like to contact me about film usage or any other issue, please just email me on stewmosshomegarden@gmail.com. Once again, thank you very much for supporting my channel, for watching my films. I do appreciate it. I'd just like you all to have a great day.